Welcome.
Oh man, I was listening to the song.
Well, the song's over. Intro's over.
Okay.
We've started.
Welcome to the first show of the new year for Dear
Are you
Dad.
giving it your newscaster's voice?
No, this is just my new voice. Welcome to Dear Dad on nradio.com. No, yes. I don't know, maybe it's the microphone. Do I sound different?
No.
No. Maybe it's all those testosterone injections. No, I'm not. So, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year's. Welcome, 2014.
Can you
We're
believe
here.
it? 2014.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about that the other day because back in the millennium, remember the
14
craziness
14 years ago?
where they thought the whole world was just going to like go to hell in a
All the
handbasket
computers were
because
gonna
everything
stop.
was going to crash and it was, you know, the whole, and that was 14 years ago.
Businesses spurted out of that. I mean,
Sure. I remember at the hospital, they had these IT people going through every single thing, just trying to make sure that nothing crashed.
they were waiting for the clock to strike 12,
Yep.
and just everyone was looking at their computers
Y2K.
to find out what was going to happen.
Right? Y2K, they were calling it.
Yeah.
And that was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember we even
And nothing
had-
happened. We didn't miss a
nothing.
beat.
It was the
They don't-
biggest, it was like Geraldo Rivera opening up Al Capone's
Capone's,
thing. Nothing. You know,
The,
I
the
remember.
only thing that really came out of it is that now when you put in the year for your birthday, it's all 4 digits
Right.
in a lot
Instead
of
of
places.
just the
Yeah,
last.
Yeah.
Correct.
Other than that, I've seen no significant change in anything.
No, I mean, it's weird though thinking about it because back at that whole changeover, I think that's the one year for New Year's that we made a big deal about. New Year's for me is not a huge night or big deal, but that year we had all our friends and family over at the time, and I had gotten out my video camera, which was the big thing you sat on your shoulder that held the VHS
Yeah,
tapes.
the big tape.
And I made this video. What do you think of the new millennium? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I was thinking about that the other
You did
day.
make that. You did make a tape.
I did.
Have you watched it?
I can't.
Because you don't have a VCR.
No, because within a few years of that tape, several significant people on that died unexpectedly.
And it's hard to watch.
And it's, yeah, like my brother talking about his kids and where he plans to be and knowing that 2 years later that all comes crashing.
Right.
Because that was before 9/11. That was before a lot of things. And to watch it now, it's just too hard.
Yeah.
And that was, 14 years ago.
Right.
And it's almost like yesterday.
Yeah.
So time flies. It really does. Did you do anything for New Year's?
I was home, had my cousin over,
Okay.
but we didn't do anything. The kids were all out. They all went to parties and did their thing, and everything worked out. Everybody went out and came home, and we were up when everyone got home, so that was good. You know, uneventful
Yeah.
is now
That is good.
what you look for. At a certain age, I guess,
Sure.
you know. When you're young, you look for events.
Even young though, I think now they look for events, but they realize it can be a dangerous night. So even my kids, we at first, my wife and I weren't going to do anything, but we ended up being able to go out for the first time in a long time because my 2 daughters went to friends' houses where they were going to stay over. And my son went to a party up at the firehouse, and he was there, and he had a ride home, so we didn't have to worry about that. But otherwise, we weren't going to do anything just to make sure they had rides and could safely get back and forth. Because I
Right.
think that's everyone's biggest fear is, what about the other guy?
Right.
You know, even if I don't drink, hopefully the guy in the other car didn't either. So,
Right.
and that's, I think, a big change over the past 25 years,
Yeah.
is the drinking and driving.
It's probably better than it was when we were younger.
I would say so,
I know.
because everyone's afraid of it now. The police have really cracked down, and there's a lot more options, and there's checkpoints, and people really think, I would like to think they think twice before they get behind the wheel.
I think the majority of people do their planning, you know, for this kind of evening. So you know you're going and you know we're going to drink, so you're not going to drive, or you pick your designated driver ahead of time, or, you know, however it is you plan, they plan. And at their age, when I was younger, I don't think we planned things like that.
No,
You just
not
say,
at
hey,
all.
we're all going to Joe's house, and then everyone drives to Joe's house, and you know, once you start drinking, if you realize you're not driving, then I guess you leave in your car there, or
Right.
or
Or
you're
you just
staying
sleep
there,
over on the
or you-
couch.
right, or something like that. But you very seldom said at that time. You very seldom said, "Listen, I know I'm going to drink, so I'm not going to drive."
Right.
So you get a ride there.
Right.
I don't think we thought about it. At least I didn't. I don't think we thought about it the way the kids think about it now.
Did you hear there was something called Operation Red Nose in the 5 boroughs of New York? What happened this year is, I guess, a couple cab companies or livery service companies got smart, and they provided the service where you call,
Right.
they'll send a cab with a second driver to your location, and the cab will bring you home, and the driver will drive your vehicle back to your house. And they'll charge you double the price. So if the ride would have been $40, they'll charge you $80, but now your car is home. You don't have to worry about it being left in some bad neighborhood. So it really made people comfortable being able to say, okay, I want to get home. It wasn't free, but it's still, I think, a good service.
Right. I think it's a good service.
Yeah.
Of course, I wouldn't let anyone drive my car. But
Yeah,
that's
because you'd
just-
be
that's
better
just the
driving
way
it
I
when you're
am.
drunk. Well, that's because you have the new car.
I haven't even driven my car in the last over a week.
What's this salt outside?
There was snow and there's salt and there's rain and there's ice and there's sand and there's crazy people driving around, and I just my car is not safe on the road.
I know. What do you think about this weather we've been having? Not just, and actually on Long Island, we've been spared most of it. The rest of the country's getting slammed with the snow and ice, and we had a small taste of it the past few days.
It was minus. My neighbor had moved to, I forget where the heck she is. She's out by Fargo, but not in
North Dakota,
but the other state right next to it.
South Dakota,
It's the border state.
Nebraska,
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
I'd
So-
get there eventually.
So she lives out there now, and it's like it was -20 or -30
Yeah.
or some crazy number, and you can't even let your dog out.
No.
You get ticketed. If you let your dog into your backyard or front yard, wherever you let your dog out, and your neighbor reports you can't do it.
Wow.
You've got to walk your animal because they can't be out too long.
Right.
You know, that's crazy. What? Why? I know we're broadcast all over the world. Sorry, Chuck, but why would you want to move out to 40 below, man? That's crazy.
Well, they were interviewing this woman in New York City the other day, and she happened to be from Russia originally. She said, this weather we have every day for 3 months a year. Can you imagine 0 and below every day? But they learn how to live with it. The thing is,
they drink vodka.
They
That's
guess
how
so.
they
That's it.
vodka.
by the way, that's not a good thing to do in the cold because it thins your blood a little bit. But I think what happens is a lot of people, they don't have a healthy respect for the cold, like especially in, say, New York here, where it gets cold, but not really cold. The other day...
And not for long periods.
Right.
You know, like we've had the 8 degrees for 2 days, but a lot of areas they'll have 8 degrees for a month and a half.
That's right. But I saw a man at my practice the other night who came in, and he works in construction, and it was cold, but he's tough. You know, he was a tough guy, wanted to brave it out, and he didn't need the jacket, didn't need gloves, and he worked, and his hands were starting to feel a little cold. He came in with frostbite so bad that he might lose 3 fingers because he thought it was just about being tough. It's not. Cold is dangerous, and you really need to respect it. don't try and be brave. Don't try and be tough. Make sure you keep things covered, your fingers especially. Anything that's thin with a lot of surface area, like your fingers, your ears, your nose. I mean, the frostbite on your ears and your earlobes. You'll end up losing those because what frostbite is actually death of the tissue. It's freezer burn, basically, and it doesn't come back. So don't take that lightly. Be very respectful of the cold.
Now, what's the damage when you're, I guess you're exposed your digits to the weather long enough, but you don't have frostbite. But the next time it's cold, or every time it's cold after that, you get a numbing sensation.
Yeah, there are
Is that
certain,
another degree or something?
Well,
Lesser degree?
it causes some changes in the structure of the cells, and it can damage the nerves under the skin so that every time you're re-exposed to it, they can't react normally. So you feel this, what we call a neuropathic pain. It's a nerve pain because they've been damaged some because of the cold. Even though the tissue itself is still alive, it's still viable. But don't take the cold lightly. And I think some people do. Anyway, what else? You know what? Have you been following? There's a couple, and we don't.
There's a couple of news stories.
We don't always do news stories, but there's a few that I want to touch on. First of all, and I read this on you get all these stuff on the internet, and you see these stupid news stories, but there's one that I'm reading the other day, and we didn't talk about this because I wanted to get your true reaction. This woman gives birth to a child who's...
So far it sounds pretty good.
Well, she's a white woman, and the baby is half black. And she's married to a white man who is in the military and has been in Afghanistan for a year. She gives birth to a half-black child. And she says she got pregnant by watching a 3D porno flick. Her and her girlfriends went into the city just to see how real they looked. And the movie was so realistic that she got pregnant. And she can prove it because her son looks just like the black man in the movie. And her husband, when he was reached for comment, he said, well, those movies are pretty realistic.
Pretty realistic.
So, and she says, well, thank God he believes me because otherwise our marriage would be in serious trouble. You can't make this up. This is a
true.
news story from, I believe it was in Florida that the news story came out. But yes, she said she got pregnant from watching a 3D porno movie, and the husband agrees. Oh yeah, those movies are really realistic. I can totally see how that could happen.
So they didn't have biology class or anything like that in high
I don't know
school.
if they were paying attention in any class, let alone biology.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
You know what? I think they deserve each other.
They probably do. But I feel bad for this poor child.
I think God knew what he was doing when he put them together.
He might have.
He said, wow, these two are perfect. Man.
Now, what do you think about this news story?
You know, I was gonna somehow work this in tonight.
What?
Was the star of the porno movie, was his name Buck Naked?
No, that was going to be the name of who if he became a porn star. What TV show? The one character said, if I became a porn star, my name's going to be Buck Naked.
I don't know.
George on Seinfeld.
George on Seinfeld. Oh, okay.
He would say, well, that's going to be my nickname, Buck Naked.
Buck Naked. It's perfect. Perfect.
However, now, if you haven't been following the news or you're not from the New York tri-state area, it's kind of a tragic story, but yeah, a lot of people have different feelings about it. Last week, I think it was on Thursday, a Hasidic man was abducted forcefully in front of his home, put into a car, and a day and a half later, they found his half-burned body in a dumpster in Great Neck, New York. And this happened in Brooklyn. He was abducted, and they found him in Great Neck. It turns out that he was a landlord. He owned a building. Some people called him a slumlord. He had several failed businesses. He was in court many times for not paying people who gave services like plumbers, electricians, and he filed bankruptcy several times inappropriately, and everyone was having some issues with this guy.
So there was a lot of possible suspects here.
So
Okay.
he also is a father of 5 on the other end, and supposedly a good father and husband. So that's the one end of it. But the New York Post, which is a paper that enjoys making their own headlines and becoming almost the story itself. So instead of printing a regular headline, did you know what they printed? Their headline said, "Who wouldn't want this guy dead?" That's what they printed.
All right, so that's not good.
Well, there was a lot of backlash on it. Their point was the New York City Police Department doesn't know where to start because there's so many different people who could have wanted this man dead. And from what I heard the other day, one of the main suspects is his business partner.
Wouldn't be the first time. That's where you start. You
It's
start with
almost like a
people that know 'em
CSI
best.
episode, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? Even all those things, you don't deserve to be killed. That's
No,
what it,
you
that's what
don't
it comes
deserve
down
to
to.
be killed.
You know.
But I also think sometimes now these people who are landlords and stuff, they need to think about their actions. There's some people now, there was on several news stories, especially in the cold, that these people are paying rent, and it's minimal because it's public housing, and there's no heat. There was a woman on the news last night who's like sleeping with her child under her clothes because there's no heat and the child
People
could
turning
freeze.
their stove on, and there's
Causing
no heat,
fires and stuff like
all
that.
kinds of things. And as far as the cost being minimal, I mean, even minimal rent is in the hundreds of dollars a month and stuff like that.
Irregardless,
So,
they
I mean,
accept the check. Once you accept the check, you're accepting responsibility to provide the
Absolutely.
basics: plumbing, heating, shelter. So it needs to be dry, it needs to be warm, the plumbing needs to work.
Just as another person to person, you should have compassion for the people who live in your building. I mean, it's not such a tough thing to understand. So and they have to write laws and they have to follow up with people, and it's a shame that people just don't do the right thing.
And I guess that's what it comes down to.
That's what it really comes down to.
Doing the right thing.
And we see it. Of course, we have newspapers and reporters all over the place, and then we live near a city with millions of people in it. So,
That's right.
It's we see both sides of life. Sometimes the good side doesn't always get reported.
That's right.
It
Well, I
seems
think
like the
that's
bad
another
side sells
problem
more
with our
papers.
media is it's the negative news that
Sells more
people want to
papers.
hear.
Yeah.
It's the negative news or the so-called car accident. For example,
Sensationalism.
have you seen what's going on in North Korea?
No. I've just been living in a closet, haven't I?
You're in like that clam shell. Okay, so North
I have my
Korea.
own little cocoon, and that's where I am. Okay.
Realistically, North Korea is one of the few countries that probably treats their own citizens the worst. They have the fewest liberties. This is a country where when their other leader died, Kim Jong-il,
His son took over.
but during the funeral, people who didn't display enough grief were sent to prison camps and put in labor or were tortured and sometimes killed because they weren't sad enough over the death of their leader. So this is a country where there's no rights for these people. There's some serious, serious issues there. So what's made the news over the past week?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I
Really?
don't know.
Okay, Dennis Rodman.
Oh, all right. I heard
Oh, now you know.
I heard a little bit about this. So he's gone there, but I don't know what's happening.
He's gone there several times as the ambassador, trying to be like the basketball ambassador. And now Dennis Rodman, if any of you have ever even followed any sports, kind of know he's not really your role model type of guy. He's never been that, and he's never really purported to be that. But anyway, he says that Kim Jong-un, which is now the leader of North Korea, is his best friend. And because it was his best friend's birthday yesterday, Dennis Rodman brought a whole bunch of ex-NBA players, old stars, to North Korea to have an exhibition basketball game in the name of, you know, unity and trying to bring world peace. He said it's kind of like the Olympics.
Trying to smooth it over.
Yeah, he wants
Okay.
to be the ambassador.
And give this guy what, credibility?
I don't
or
know, but
let
for his
people try to
birthday-
see him as a humanitarian. I mean, what is he trying to prove?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
He even you can watch him singing "Happy Birthday" to him in like a Marilyn Monroe type "Happy Birthday." It's really bizarre, but
Well, there's
I
nothing
think
going
he
on in this
doesn't
country for
realize. I
Dennis
mean, you
Rodman.
have these sports guys like Rodman who doesn't realize that 2 weeks ago this same man put his uncle to death. He executed his uncle, who was his second in command, for crimes against the state, which basically means is he didn't agree with his politics.
Right.
So in order not to risk,
I mean, Dennis Rodman must know this.
you would think.
He
and
just chooses to look past it. But I mean, if you know it,
yeah,
and
of
you're
course
not
he has
traveling
to
there,
know it,
I mean,
but-
the guy knows it.
And, you know, they're trying to get him, if he's supposed to be this ambassador of peace, to try and broker some peace issues with this leader, saying, you know, you have some American political prisoners in North Korea still to try and work for their freedom, but that's not really what it's about. So I don't get it, how all of a sudden he's friended this North Korean. But getting back to the whole point, the point of my story is, why is that the news? You know, the news chooses these stories, and instead of focusing on the real issues,
Right.
just like, I mean, what's happening now in Russia with the Olympics coming up. I mean, Russia is probably one of the least gay-friendly countries, where they actually persecute and prosecute and detain people for their sexual orientation.
The least tolerant of
The least, by
nations.
far. And they're trying to downplay that.
even less tolerant than North Korea.
Oh, well, I don't know North Korea's policy on it, but and with the
So the
Olympics
point
coming up,
is,
they're trying
the
to
Olympics-
downplay that and make it, oh, we're so
Well,
great.
I had heard last year that, you know, that people were talking about boycotting the Olympics because of the way they're treating gays.
Some of it. I think the United States has chosen as their representatives some of the openly gay athletes, which I think is good, saying, you know what, these are our athletes, and you know what, you have to respect our
So we decided
athletes.
to go put both feet in.
Why not? Why? Because it's if you look at some of the laws, it's
I mean,
ridiculous.
so what do? We say, all right, well, who are the most likely to be hated? Let's put them in first. I mean,
Yeah, but you know what?
You know,
I
if
think a
you're
lot
gay
of them
or
are
not gay,
also,
whatever,
they can
everybody
take
takes
it.
a number, everyone goes in. Don't antagonize. Just go in or don't go in. Just boycott it.
I know, I look like I'm looking up at the skies to see if it's raining outside, but I'm just trying to look at the monitor. Trying to look at, yeah, it's getting a little thin.
Oh
there.
man, it's really getting thin. But
Are you excited about the Olympics?
I vote for the boycott. No.
No?
No. I know you like the Olympics.
I like the Olympics.
And
You don't
I-
like the
I don't-
Olympics or you
no,
don't?
I do not dislike the Olympics.
But you don't like
But
it.
it didn't generate a lot of excitement for me this time.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know. What,
I'm just going to shake my
what
head
is-
and make you feel uncomfortable.
What is your favorite Winter Olympic sport? Is it the luge? Is it? What's the thing where they go through the woods and shoot? And
the Nordic combined?
is that what it's called? The Nordic combined. Yeah.
Well, that's the.
Is that yours?
That's
Did
the
I-
cross-country skiing and shooting. You know, there's several different sports I like. I like the speed skating. I like the different types of skiing. I like the hockey.
They now have snowboarding.
I like the hockey
I mean, what do you think
Snowboarding.
about throwing all these new sports in?
I think they
Like,
should.
You know, they're
They
going to have
obviously.
skateboarding, right? Are they adding skateboarding
Why not?
next
If
year?
that's what people are doing, we have to add them in. Sure. I mean, it's supposed to be competition. If there's new sports, I mean, why not ultimate frisbee? That's a huge sport that a lot of people are playing. Put it in. I think golf should be part of it. It's just too hard to try and fit in. But I love the hockey competition. And
Should they
here's
have
the
poker?
weirdest thing.
That's a big craze.
I don't know.
Olympic
I'd have to think
poker.
about that. How about there's one sport that no one ever watches except during the Olympics, and then every guy you know watches it. It's
What?
the most boring sport that you can't turn away from. Curling.
Curling, that's the one where they
Where
wipe
they
the
throw
ice.
the stones and, you know, and the guys ever.
But a lot of people are into it.
It's.
You know, the northern states, Canada,
Sure. It's
they're into it
kind of
because
like
they have a long winter.
Scandinavian bocce ball.
Yeah,
On ice. It's a great game, but you can't turn away.
yeah.
So I like the idea of the competition, and I wish we could get rid of this other stuff and just
They have
let
curling
it be
leagues
about.
like bowling
Oh,
leagues,
sure.
by the way.
Oh, sure.
You know,
Up
like
in Canada and the northern countries,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I was at a company for a couple of weeks in Vancouver that the company I worked for purchased, and they had bowling leagues.
And it's really
couple of nights-
competitive.
I mean, curling. Couple of nights, and it was, you know, older people too, you know, like, not old women. They're not old women, but you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like you were,
Right.
you were a hockey person.
It's a sport.
And so any age person could have done it.
Kind of like golf.
Yeah.
It's a sport you can play throughout your life
Yeah.
at different levels. You would like it because you get to sweep things. You know?
Yeah, it looks like a clean sport.
Yeah,
You know,
it's very nice and
yeah.
tidy, and they
It's a clean
wipe
sport.
things down afterwards.
Well, I like it.
I know. You don't like hockey because there's blood on the ice.
I like the physical part of hockey.
Well, you like the Islanders. That's not really hockey.
I like checking and you know, elbowing and
You didn't
know,
hear that dig I just gave in, did you?
Yeah, that I don't like the Islanders.
I said you like the Islanders, so that's not really hockey.
I like the Islanders.
That's a different sport.
I like the Islanders, and I understand they rained on your day at the Garden.
Yeah.
But was
Yes.
I kind enough not to even send you a dig? Because I know that you went there with your family and you were looking forward to a Rangers win. But you saw a good hockey game. You had great seats. You were there with your family. I mean,
was painful.
You achieved what you wanted to achieve.
Almost. It was painful. It was the refs' fault. I
Oh.
have to blame the refs. You know?
Had to be.
By the way, if you the new Chase Skywalk at Madison Square Garden,
Don't know
really
it.
nice.
Yeah?
Really nice. Yeah, it's a whole different experience because you have the stadium, which is sort of like the bowl shape, but the Skywalk is sort of situated here. So you're not blocking the view of anyone in the seats.
You're
And
further
you're
in.
not right on top of the ice, but almost. So you're sort of looking down from a closer. It's a different experience. Very unique angle. You don't miss any part of the ice. Every single inch is clear. It was really nice. Really different experience. So Madison Square Garden, you did a good job this time. So good job.
That's good. So we were on the Olympics when we got
We
off
were
at
on the
hockey.
Olympics. We're talking about the
What
Olympic
your
Games.
favorite Winter Olympic
there's so many.
sport is-
I like the luge. I like the bobsled. I love the hockey competition. Speed skating I happen to like, especially the short track speed skating. You know, the long track, that's more like they're just going fast.
That's the long skates.
Right, but the short track speed skating is where there's 4 of them, and it's a very short track. That's what Ono does, and they're crashing into each other. And
When does it start?
February. I don't know the exact date, but the middle of February.
Haven't seen a lot of commercials.
You don't watch TV. That's why.
No, but even when you don't watch a lot of TV, you're going to get subject to some commercials, and how they say, oh, this guy against this guy, and that guy, grew up together, and this guy's going for his, a record number of things,
You
medals.
haven't seen much of that.
No.
Maybe they're trying to take the hype away, which is good. I don't think they should hype it. I think, what the Olympics is supposed to be, and if we could keep it this way and make it what it truly was designed to be, I think that would be perfect. It's just the competition of sports removing all the politics. It's not about the politics.
It was designed to prevent war.
Yeah. Back in
Right?
ancient Greece,
Right.
this was the competition.
It wasn't uncommon for 2 countries, towns, whatever, that were going to go to war to say, all right, well, instead of putting all our men against all our men, you give us your best guy, we'll give us our best guy, and whoever makes it out of the best guys, then you get what you want or I get
Right.
what I want, and then we go back to our
That's
lives.
correct. That's correct.
That's what it kind of started that way, right?
So I think if we could take all the politics out of it, it would be so much better. Because it's truly, they're there as athletes. Doesn't matter what country they're from. And at the end of the day, they can shake hands and be friends. And I think that's what the Olympics should be about.
We've commercialized the hell out of it.
Well, we've commercialized the hell out of everything. I mean, think
it's-
about the game that we can't even say the name on air technically because they could sue us.
It's
the big
the
game in
uniforms.
February.
We're not allowed to say.
No, they have rights on that name, the bowl. You can't say it on air because
Can we say the ultimate bowl game?
you can say that big game that comes up in February. You can use all the different names, but to say the actual name, they have rights and have protected that name, the 2 words, Soup Bowl. Right. Bowl. So,
Wow.
okay, super.
Why can't we just call it the stupid bowl?
Yeah, you could.
How
But
does that
I mean,
sound?
it's gotten to that point where it's so commercialized and the lawyers have just gotten so tight about it that it's ridiculous.
We're already starting our bowl game sheet. What would they call that? You put the money in.
Yeah, where you have the pool.
The pool. That's what it's called. The pool.
The pool.
Thank you. We've already started that at work.
I put my money in the pool 6 months ago. I picked a box.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it an expensive box? I mean, can you talk about it on TV, or are you worried about the tax
it's not
implications?
technically gambling because, taxes. You pay your taxes.
It's not
If you win,
technically
you pay
gambling.
taxes.
You're
You
betting
know.
on the outcome of a sporting event.
No, it's not
that's
gambling.
controlled by people. That's got to be gambling.
Here's the difference. If the only people that make money off of it are the people involved in the betting, it's not gambling. So in other words, if 4 of us are playing a game, and the only people that win or lose are the 4 of us playing that game, it's not considered gambling. Now,
instance,
if we're
If
playing,
you do it in a bar and the bar takes a cut,
that's when it's
That's
gambling,
when,
right?
like, it's
So
because
if
the house
if
takes
there's a
profit.
so-called house, and someone makes a profit and they're not in the game, that's gambling. So if you have a football pool and the person running the pool says, well, I'm going to take 10% off the top for organizing it, that's gambling. But if no one else except for the people in it make money, then it's
if
legal.
all the money that went in is dispersed to members of the game,
Correct. Then it's not
then
illegal.
it's not gambling.
It's not
But if-
illegal.
but
I
if-
mean, it's gambling, but it's not illegal.
It's not
gambling.
illegal. In I guess, New York State or whatever.
Correct.
But if it's, some of the money that goes in is paid to a second party.
Right, for
Okay.
organizing or whatever reason.
For whatever.
Then it's illegal.
Okay.
So that's why these football
So
pools
that's,
are okay.
that's why these betting on football tickets are things that they've gone around for years. I
No,
mean,
those
they've been
someone
in high
takes a
school.
cut of.
Somebody, right, because if you lose, the guy who runs the pool keeps the money.
Correct.
Now, the guy who runs the pool isn't betting on anything.
Correct.
He's not in,
That's why that's illegal.
he's not in the game. Okay. You know, of course,
So
maybe,
if you get in an
maybe
office
not him,
pool,
maybe a
it's
guy
not.
named, you know, Vito or
Right.
something is getting the money.
I mean, if you win the office pool,
Not that I have anything against Italian Americans.
you are an Italian American.
All right, Matt, just to let you know, I have nothing against Italian Americans.
You know what you have against an Italian American? This shirt, it's right against an Italian American. I'm next to an Italian.
Yeah.
But, you know, the only thing is, you're right. If you win money, you got to report it. You don't chip the government. The government gets their dues.
Right.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, yeah, that is.
So you're in a pool.
I'm in a pool with the
Okay.
I'm in the fire department. It's-
I'm on Monday. They open the pool for us to bet on. Monday.
I'll get in more,
It's
but
$20 a box.
see, the one I'm in is $100 a box.
That's a lot of money.
That's a big
There's
pool.
a lot of shekels, as we say.
There's a
in the-
lot of shekels, not
in the-
schmeckles, but shekels.
shekels, as we say in the gambling business.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's some like $10 or $5 or $1, and you know it's more for fun. The main reason I like to do that with the Super Bowl is to keep me interested in the outcome of the game. Because if it's two teams that I don't really care about, I probably wouldn't even watch it.
Yeah, so you watch for the score and you
And
watch
it
when
keeps
they're
interest-
about
and
to
the
score.
commercials and things
Yeah.
like that, and just the spectacle of the whole thing.
It's
See, now here's something.
It's entertainment. It's 99% entertainment.
Correct. Here's something a little bit funny. The other
It's
night,
a little bit funny. Isn't there a song?
very good, by Elton John.
Is that it? Okay.
He's not that popular in Russia, apparently.
Apparently.
So anyway, the other night, this past Sunday, was from what I can figure, the women's version of a Super Bowl. There's a show on called Downton Abbey, which is this British show. And it's about this manor house in turn of last century England, and the women they love it. My wife and both daughters love it. So for this show, which it was the debut for this year, the first show of the season, my wife made scones and cucumber sandwiches and cheese and crackers and tea. She got out the fine bone china, and I'm like, this is like the Super Bowl. That's like
this
chicken
is-
wings and beer. And that's what they did. So there you go.
Start of the season.
Start of the season.
And what's
They
it
kicked
called?
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Don't say downtown Abbey, or
No.
they'll.
And what is it? And what is it about? I mean, what's the premise of the show?
The premise of the show is it's about this British family who, you know, they're royalty, but he's an earl, not a prince. So it's mid-royalty, and the house that they run and the servants, and it's sort of like the drama that happens with that.
Is it a comedy or is it?
No, it's not a comedy. It's
not
a
a comedy.
drama. It's a drama. It's kind of like, do you remember Upstairs, Downstairs in the 70s? Similar to that. It's a drama, but all the different things that go on and the
It's on cable,
intrigue
I imagine.
and
It's cable.
no, it's on like PBS. It's a PBS type show.
13.
So that was their show, and
Nice.
they enjoyed
So that they
it.
have English tea and everything?
Yes, English tea in the fine bone china, and that was their thing. But I think that's cool, you know, to get into something like that. Enjoy it. If you're going to do it, enjoy it.
Nice.
I mean, we're doing something this weekend that we're going to enjoy. We're going camping, even though the weather is going to be
Yep.
cold. We're going
Yep.
out into the...
It's going to be, it's not going to be too cold.
No,
it's
mid-40s.
not going to be too wet is what we're really worried about.
That's what we're worried about.
Yeah. Don't want the gear to get all wet. And this is supposed to be a shakedown because we have a trip that
Correct.
That's more than likely a very cold weather trip.
Correct.
And this allows the boys to get a taste of what it's like to be in the cold
Correct.
for extended period of times.
I mean, before, as a leader, we have to make sure that we know the abilities and limitations of the scouts that are in our troop. And this gives us the opportunity to really judge their skills before we put them in a situation where they really need their skills. I mean, this is a situation this weekend that even if the scouts don't realize it, there is a secure backup plan. If it gets cold, we can have them inside in seconds, and there's no real danger at all. Whereas the next trip, there's a little bit more, let's see, we can't control the environment as well. So there's a little bit more risk just because the unknown and the things that could happen. So you want to go into it knowing the abilities of your people. And I think that's just a good strategy in any form of life. And I think that's a good lesson to learn about yourself, your family, and your friends. You should know your strengths, your weaknesses, and your limitations.
Right. And you could prepare,
So,
And I think we should prepare right now
for a commercial.
for a commercial.
We'll be right back on Dear Dad.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time, like catching a cold or one of those awful stomach bugs. But we at Got Lice have your solution. You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural and organic, but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience whenever you want us. We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment. Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice at no additional cost. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
All right. We're back from commercial.
And we're back.
Would you stop with that announcer voice?
That's an old Saturday Night Live.
Hey, I like that. Did you
skit.
watch? I watched all the commercials.
You did?
I did.
I ran
enjoyed
to the
them.
boys' room. No, I didn't.
No, I enjoyed the commercials. Yeah, we got to see a few of our friends from Enravio on the commercials.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
things are really, considering when we started 3 years ago here on Enravio.com, broadcasting to the world, it's really changed over the past few years, and it's becoming just so much more recognized, and so many more people watching that. They're advancing with the times. So congratulations to everyone contributing to that.
I'd say 10 feet.
Yeah, I think we're like in the whole scheme of this thing where everything's moving so fast and so quickly. They consider our show like the brick,
Is that right?
like just weighing the whole ship.
Yeah, I
no,
think so.
we're not.
We're like ballast. Yeah.
We're what? We're the
Oh,
foundation.
I thought maybe we were like
Didn't they
ballast.
sing "Build Me Up"? Buttercup, baby. Speaking of, and you know, we give away
Speaking of
things here
Buttercup.
in Enravio. At the Paramount Theater in Huntington, that's in Long Island, New York, on Saturday, January 18th. And this is a concert I'd actually like to see. If you like swing music, and I don't mean like Glenn Miller swing, I mean new swing like Brian Setzer Orchestra and the Cherry Poppin' Daddies. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy is coming to the Paramount on January 18th at 8 o'clock, and Enravio has tickets. So you go to Enravio.com and click on the Win Now. The link is on the right of the homepage, and you can enter to win 2 tickets to see Big Bad Voodoo Daddy at 8 o'clock on January 18th. It's cold out. There's nothing else going on. You want to be there because it's going to be a hot show. There's no seats in the middle. You can just dance. It's open seating, and it's a fun night. And that is the band to see if you want to just go out and have a really good time. So if you want a listing of all the shows on the Paramount in Huntington, go to ParamountNY.com. There's a listing of all the shows, and go to Enravio.com for your tickets to win Big Bad
Voodoo Daddy.
That's it. Okay.
There you go. And I thought all the good band names were taken.
No,
Like
there's a
Hootie
couple
and the
good ones out
Blowfish.
there.
I guess there's still a couple of good ones left.
Now, okay,
Yeah.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
It's an excellent name for a band. I mean, well, what else would you
Now,
want? in a
here's
band?
something-
It says everything.
Here's something you probably don't know, though.
What?
Who was the lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish?
Darius
Rucker.
Rucker. I'm not reading that.
Okay, and the band's a has-been, right? It's over.
But Darius Rucker's out there making country music. 'Cause
Huge.
I listen to Nash FM.
Huge. He
It's-
is one of
it's-
the biggest country stars out there right
I know
now.
it's old-time celestial radio stuff, and this is cutting edge.
Here
But
is a guy.
I have to admit, I listen to the radio.
I love the country. I like country music. I like all music. There's certain styles I like better than others, but to me, good music is good. And it doesn't necessarily matter what style. Some of the country music I love. Some of the real older style twangy country I'm not so much a fan. But
Yes.
Darius Rucker, he reinvented himself. He found a new niche, and he is one of
He's all over the radio. All
There's
over that
only
radio.
2 black men or black stars that have been admitted into the Country
Hall of
Music
Fame.
Hall of Fame. It's him and Charlie
And
Pride.
O.J. Simpson.
No, Charlie Pride.
What?
But and he's great. I mean, that song Wagon Wheel is a huge hit, originally written by Bob Dylan, by the way. And it's great. So, we only have a few minutes here. I have a question for you. We only have 2 minutes left.
What? Okay.
Did Craig Biggio get robbed?
Craig Biggio, the baseball player?
You didn't hear about that?
No. I was going to tell you about my 55-inch television.
I got a 55-inch television, too.
Come on, seriously.
I swear to God. On Black
Really?
Friday.
I got mine on Black Friday, too.
I went to PC Richards.
I went to PC Richards.
You didn't talk to Mr. Caramonico, did you?
Who's Caramonica?
Anthony Caramonico, the salesman. That's who sold me my 55-inch square
Nope.
television at PC Richards. I
Nope.
got a great deal. What'd you get? What kind? Samsung.
What a Samsung. Come on. I was at your house. I didn't see a 55-inch TV.
You didn't come in the house. I got
bought a
this
Samsung.
50
I think it was a Samsung 657 or something like that.
It's
55 inch.
It's
I paid,
awesome.
I paid about $650 for it.
We got this.
Same TV, 55-inch television, man.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. And Matt,
man.
I went all the way. I bought a sound bar too.
Did
Because
you
the
get
sound
the
comes
Did
out
you
of the
get the
back.
DVD Blu-ray player?
Yeah, I got a Blu-ray
for $50
player. Yeah.
by LG. Yeah.
No,
that was the one on sale.
I bought a $49 Philips one from Radio Shack.
See, this was a Blu-ray with the internet, so you can get like Netflix.
That's what I
and stuff.
have too. I was going to
$50.
tell you that I've seen our show on the 55-inch TV.
Yeah, me too.
Have you watched
That
it?
is amazing.
But my TV is not a smart TV.
Mine is.
My Blu-ray
You got
is
a dumb TV.
My Blu-ray is a smart.
Why would you buy
Blu-ray.
a dumb TV?
Because
No, I have the same thing. But we got the same.
but you
that
can
is
put
too much.
Chromecast on the back, or you can
Yeah.
you can use your smart
Sure.
Blu-ray or whatever. So it makes it a smart TV. So I saved $100.
That's too funny. That
Yeah.
and this was not rehearsed at all. We just found that out
No.
right now, sitting here.
Yeah, man.
So no,
Yeah,
what I
man.
was referring to is yesterday they had the ballots for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Tom
Mike
Glavine
Piazza didn't
and
make
Mike
it?
and Maddox got in first. Mike Piazza was 75 votes short.
I have a signed Glavine picture with his 300th win. And
He was
Michael gave it to
almost
me
the
one year
most
for Christmas.
unanimous, but not quite.
Yeah.
But Craig Biggio.
He was a Met Glavine for a
Yes,
little
he
while.
was. 5 years at the end of his career.
At the end of his career.
And he was still great. Quality player, quality man, never had any issues, no controversy.
Good
he was
role
a
model.
good guy.
Good role
great
model.
guy.
Yeah.
Craig Biggio, who is another similar type player,
He's from
played for
Coleman.
Houston. No, Kings Park.
Kings Park.
He went to Kings Park High School. He missed it by 2 votes.
All right. So
That's
it's good.
heartbreaking.
Probably good for
2
next year.
votes. What's that? Yeah, they released the
Yeah.
vote numbers, and one of the guys actually lost his voting privileges because he was trying to make a point of it. Oh, it's a farce, and they don't really look at the players. It's
One
a
of
popular.
the sports writers.
So what he did
did
is
he
he
invite for-
raffled off his vote to some online group and let them pick his vote, and so he lost his vote.
Is he the
But
guy who voted for Armando Benitez?
Maybe.
How do you-
Can you imagine
How do you
Benitez?
become a part of that academy?
You
I
probably
think
voted
it's-
in by the rest of the people.
Yeah,
or
it's
not?
mostly sports writers and stuff. And then eventually, if you're not voted in initially, then it goes to the Legends Committee, which is made up of older players
But you
and
have
stuff.
to be.
It has to be like
older,
20
right? It has
years
to
or
be-
something
yeah, it has
after,
to be
yeah.
something big.
So that's how players who maybe didn't have the right numbers to get voted in by the sports writers, but the people that played with them just say, no, they definitely were an all-star player, and they can
Right.
get in later on.
How
So-
did Clemens do?
He didn't do well, which I don't think he should, personally. I mean, I think him and Bonds, and there's just too much controversy. Was it? I don't know. I personally don't
We've talked
think
about
they
it before.
belong in there.
Yeah. But
You know what? If they're going to keep Pete
Piazza,
Rose out for what he
should have
did,
got close. If he didn't, I don't know what he got, but
he was
he
75
should have
votes
been
short,
close.
which probably means at some point he'll make it.
Okay.
He'll probably make it at some
Yeah.
point. I think with Piazza, the difference is with Mike Piazza is his numbers maybe weren't as good as some of the others, but you have to look at what he meant to the team. At that point, he was the team.
I believe he was the best hitting catcher of all time in baseball, percentage-wise.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
But I think just the impact
It
he
was
had
that
on the
good.
game, the number of kids that ended up liking baseball because of him, the number of people that really tuned into the game and had faith in baseball again because of him.
Well,
you can't measure that, and that's where I think he
for
belongs.
your
at.
time, you need to be the game changer.
And I think he was.
So if you were the game game changer in your era, you know, if it's 5 years or 10 years, whatever your
Right.
whatever your longevity is, then you belong in, you know, the voting.
I agree.
You know, that's what
Someone
it comes,
like
that's
him
what
would
it comes down
change
to.
the game. You take a player who had great numbers like Robin Yount, okay? Do you have any recollection of him playing much? He had great numbers,
Well-
and he made the Hall of Fame because his numbers were so great. But he didn't impact the game.
Maybe.
He put the numbers up, but he wasn't that player like Mike
You know what?
Piazza that
I don't
you
know the
went
game
there.
well enough, but if he was the guy,
How many kids were asking for a Robin Yount
Well,
jersey
probably a
on
lot of
Christmas
guys
Day?
in-
Mike Piazza, that's what the kids wanted. They wanted their Mike Piazza shirt. He belongs in the Hall of Fame.
who did he play for? The White Sox? Robin Yount?
Robin Yount played for the Mariners
Mariners. You know. How popular is baseball?
in Seattle.
In
Well,
Seattle.
It's pretty popular, I guess, if you're in Seattle. Anyway, we are way
you
over
want
our time.
You want the guy
We're getting the
that
big waves
is-
say you're gonna cut
is the
off.
last person you want to see up.
Right. Who
Okay.
do you not want to face in the
That's
bottom of the
guy you
ninth
don't
with
wanna face,
bases
because
loaded?
that's the game-changing guy.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's part of it.
Or who
I
do you
guess.
want on the mound to win the game? for
Right,
you?
right.
And Mike Piazza
Right.
deserves it. Absolutely. But then
So-
again, we could get into the whole, does Pete
Well,
Rose
we're Met
belong in
fans.
or not?
We're Met fans.
We're
Yeah,
Met-
I think Pete Rose
Pete Rose
belongs
should
in
be
it.
in. If
Yeah.
they're allowing Clemens and Bonds to be considered, well, then Pete Rose should be in the. I
Yeah.
mean, as a kid, and I was not a Reds fan at all.
No, but you knew who he was. You
Not
didn't-
only knew who he
you
was,
didn't, you
I
didn't
lo-
even have to be a baseball fan to know who he was.
not only knew who he was or baseball, you watched him and you just were like, wow. Even as I was little, and I knew that he was a great player. You just watched him in the hustle, and he gave everything. He left his heart right there
Sure.
on the field. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
You know, we used to play baseball and in the street or
Mm-hmm.
in the schoolyard or whatever, and then, you know, a lot of times you'd be like, who are you? You know, and you'd
Right.
say, you know, you were third baseman. So I'm Pete Rose.
I'm Pete Rose.
You
Charlie
know,
Hustle.
Yeah, Charlie Hustle.
Oh,
or
we're
whatever.
getting the beat.
So that's how
will
you
be
know
back.
those guys were impact players.
That's right.
You know.
We'll be back next week, and we'll have a lot more to say on
Dear Dad and
Tony,
Ravio.com.
thank you for another good week.
Hey, you have a good week.
You too.
Enjoy.
Enjoy the camping. We'll see you then. Matt, take
Night,
us out of
everybody.
here, and we'll see you all next week on Dear Dad.